Rugby World Rankings, folks, for the 31st of July 2023. The Rugby Championship is in the bag. The New Zealanders managed to win that one, and they have been rewarded with Rugby World Rankings progression. But we'll go through the rankings from the results at the weekend and some of the possible permutations as we really get into the kind of full swing of Rugby World Cup warm-up matches now. And you guys can let us know your thoughts on how fair or not you think the rankings are. Ireland, who have not been in action for a wee while, but are going to play this weekend, still number one side in the world, relatively comfortably, still a full point above the All Blacks, who have moved into second with their first Bledisloe Cup win over the Wallabies at the MCG, up from 90.32 to 90.77. So they have sent France, I don't want to say plummeting, but down one spot. France haven't played. They have surrendered second spot to the All Blacks. Just because the All Blacks passed them, basically. So it's all going fuzzy at the moment. Rugby Championship, check. Bledisloe Cup, check. Second in the world, check. Everything's looking kind of hunky-dory. South Africa is still there in 4. I have noticed their score has gone up ever so slightly from 88.34 to 88.36 with their 1-point win over the Pumas. It was a marginal increase, mainly because the South Africans were at home. So you tend to get fewer points when you win at home than when you do away. Scotland beat Italy, but again, the gap between them is pretty big. And Scotland were at home, so they didn't gain anything for that in terms of rankings points. England are there in 6th. Argentina have, as I said, dropped a little bit in pointage, but they are still there in 7th. And the Wallabies are down from 80.32 to 79.87. Around about a point and a bit above Wales. So the Wallabies still on this left. Is it the left for you guys? Yes, the left-hand side of the whiteboard. Wales are still in 9th. Fiji, though, are a threat for that position, potentially. Fiji have swapped places with Samoa with their kind of pretty solid win, 33-19. If you didn't see that one, scarily, Fiji rung the changes for this game after having played Tonga the week before, and they played a bunch of their youngsters, a lot of guys on their first cap who play for the Fijian Drua in Super Rugby, and they looked pretty good against a team of, a fair few veterans in that Samoan side. So, Fiji have swapped places with Samoa. Georgia's still there, and Japan's still there between them. Japan did take marginal points off Tonga with their, I don't want to say unconvincing, but it wasn't the flashiest, win over Tonga 21-16. It was okay. There was a few flashes of brilliance from the Japanese, but nothing too kind of earth-shattering just yet, as they kind of are 4 games into their warm-up campaign at the moment. Samoa, like I mentioned, with that loss, dropped down. Italy didn't change any points despite their loss to Scotland. Tonga have lost the pointage, and Portugal not yet in action. Off the whiteboard, Uruguay, whose t-shirt, rugby jersey, that's what it's called, I am wearing, they have gone up ever so slightly with their win over Chile. They won 26-25. I've seen the highlights of that one. It seemed like Chile scored a last minute or a late try to get the scoreboard a bit closer, but Uruguay, I think, went out early to kind of get a lead, and then Chile's job was to try and chase them down, but they have got up marginally. They're in 17th, USA 18, Romania 19, other World Cup teams, Namibia 21, Chile 22. So, plenty going on for the World Rankings. What about this coming weekend? Because there's a ton of games on. If you're wanting to watch all of these games, you're going to need to clear your weekend because there is a ton. Argentina is hosting South Africa. Argentina could go 5th if they get a win. South Africa, if they get a win, will certainly take some decent points off Argentina compared to when they won at home. Ireland's hosting Italy. The gap between those sides is incredible. So 91.82, 74.63. So for scoring purposes, remember, you're going to plus Ireland score +3. So they're kind of 94.82. So they're not going to take nothing off Italy if they win. Italy could take a full 2 points if they won, but it does seem like rather an uphill battle to go into Dublin and get a win these days. New Zealand's playing Australia. New Zealand can't take any points because the gap between the sides is too much. Remember, New Zealand will be scoring +3 because they're at home. Australia could take a full 2 if they win as well, which would I don't know, make things look a little nicer on this log. But as people point out a fair bit, come the end of the year when somebody's lifted the Rugby World Cup, no one's going to be too fussed about what ranking spot they were in, about 40 days out from the Rugby World Cup. But there you go. New Zealand playing Australia. Wales is playing England. Wales can't quite catch Australia, even if Australia lose, because remember, Australia won't lose any points if they lose to the All Blacks, because the gap between the sides is too much. But they could get pretty close. England could pass Scotland if they were to get a win. But then Scotland's playing France. So if Scotland was to get a win, they would certainly go up, but not quite enough to pass South Africa, because you generally only get about 2 odd points for a maximum kind of score win, and the gap between them is substantially more than that. France, though, if they go into Scotland and get a win, they will retake that number 2 spot from New Zealand. So it'll be kind of back and forth between New Zealand and France, which weirdly in itself kind of feels appropriate, given they are going to play each other in that opening game of the World Cup. It's like a little bit of a tit for tat to see who can get the higher ranking spot before the World Cup. Again, it's not going to matter in the long term, but it's the kind of storyline I like to follow. Other games that's on, Japan's playing Fiji. Japan could pass Fiji if they win. Fiji could potentially pass Wales if Fiji win and Wales lose, which would not be a great look going into the World Cup for Wales. Samoa's playing Tonga. There's not going to be a heck of a lot of points exchange there if Tonga win, but they will take a little bit of pointage from Tonga if they get a win. Uruguay is playing Namibia. They are in 17th, remember, so just off my whiteboard. There probably would be a spot for them. I could fit them there. But they won't be able to quite pass Portugal. And Romania is playing USA. Romania, members in 19th. Again, they can get pretty close, but not quite enough to catch Portugal. So, folks, there's a ton of rugby on this weekend. How fair or not do you reckon the rankings are looking at the moment? Who are your kind of dark horses for the Rugby World Cup? If you want to get yourself some Rugby World Cup gear, check out Lovell Rugby down in the description. I mean, they've got your stock standard teams. They've got France, they've got New Zealand, they've got the Six Nations countries, but they've also got some of the kind of harder to find jerseys. They've got Japan, they've got Chile, teams like that. So if you want to get yourself a bit of kit, check out Lovell down in the description. They are an affiliate of the channel. So happy days. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the world rankings. Well done, New Zealand. 2nd spot in the world for at least 1 week. But yeah, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.